Aloha, this is Kaleo, founder of the Hawaii Institute of Real Estate and HighRealtyCourses.com. You're listening to the High Realty Podcast. Our aim is real estate literacy for all. Coming to you from the Aloha for Now studios in Honolulu, Hawaii, in collaboration with Siania Media. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Hey, this is my first time ever doing a podcast, so sorry if it comes across cheesy. But we have a few philosophies that we're trying to incorporate into our production. First off, this comes from my boy Christian, who's our producer. Say, hey, Christian. Off mic, he is not opening his mouth. He told me, start dirty. When you are trying a new endeavor, we can't waste time worrying about, well, how's everything going to look? Are people going to watch? What am I going to wear? Right? But I clearly didn't think too much about what I was going to wear today. Lex, did you?
No. I'm wearing a black T-shirt.
So thank you for tuning in to watch us struggle and possibly fail, but we're out here doing it. So thanks for tuning in. Okay, so start dirty. That's one of our philosophies. Second one is iterations and volume. The more iterations that we are able to perform in a shorter amount of time, the better our belief is, the better the quality of the product. This is coming from Anthony Vicino. He's a YouTuber, and he probably pulled it from somebody else. But the philosophy comes from a study on pottery. There was a study of art students that were making pots, and they gave one group the assignment of, they actually gave both groups the assignment of make the best pot that you can possibly make. But the way that they were going to perform that was different from the other group. So the first group, they said, focus on making the best pot that you can make in 1 week. And the second group, they said, focus on making as many pots as you can make in 1 week. And so the results of the study showed that the people who made the most pots or focused on making the most pots, the most iterations, actually came up with the highest quality pot than the control group that just focused on making one pot. So here we are. We're starting a podcast, and we want to do as many as we possibly can in the shortest amount of time because we know that this is a numbers game. As with many things in business and many things in life, it's kind of a numbers game. So at High Realty Podcast, we want to provide real estate literacy for all. So the format of the show is going to go as follows. We're going to talk about a little bit about the headlines. We're going to talk to our guest a little bit, and we're going to talk about some points to ponder afterwards. And we're going to try to do them in a way that we think is interesting for us as podcasters and for you as an audience. So you will be the judge of that. Thanks for tuning in. Lex, how you doing, buddy?
Doing really good. Thanks for having me here, Kaleo.
Yeah,
Super stoked.
I'm glad you took your car and not your skateboard this morning.
Yeah, I wanted to take the skateboard for sure, but as you noted about potentially trying to get as many podcasts done as quickly as possible, thought I'd need to change a shirt. I didn't want to carry that on my skateboard. But yeah, I've got this electric skateboard that I've gotten into this habit where I skate around town in between meetings on literally a skateboard that goes 28 miles an hour. It's like the most epic thing ever.
Yeah, I told you off camera, you got to take care of yourself, man. You got a family you're looking after. You got a wife and a couple kids depending on you. So
I do. I sold my motorcycle once
geez.
I had my second kid. And so, because I felt guilty. But for some reason, when I'm on the skateboard, I feel totally in control. I grew up skating. And it's kind of like one of those like old school kicktail style boards. So I have full control of the board, not like a long board like you see. And yeah, I feel really good at it. And I think it just came from being a skater when I was younger. But I do feel you for sure because everyone's texting and driving. I'm the worst one on the planet. I literally had a client the other day, like basically tell me after 6 hours of driving around the island, like right at the end, that I was given a major anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you should have just drew that line right at the beginning.
You're not texting and skating.
No texting and skating, but I do wear AirPods and I'm on phone calls while skating.
That's
around.
risky business, man. But part of that risk tolerance is what helps to make you a really successful agent, in my opinion. So I'm going to take a moment to introduce my friend Lex Ferguson. He's the top producer at Real Broker in the state of Hawaii. And how did we meet, Lex?
Well, it was actually pretty interesting. It was back, years ago when I was a brand new realtor. We were at EXP, and EXP you have to have X amount of deals within the past year or two to not have to have a mentor. And I've been selling homes in North Carolina prior, so it didn't apply to me because I had to be in the state of Hawaii. I couldn't seem to get a mentor because I was ready to do some business, and then I was in that EXP world in my avatar. For anyone that knows about EXP, you get this whole world that you can go in. It's almost like playing World of Warcraft but real estate.
Isn't it more like a Sim City?
It's like a Sim City.
Yeah, I would say it's more like Sim City.
I just envision, yeah. Sim City. So anyway, I was with my avatar observing Kaleo talking to Reen Sands, who was the broker at EXP. Now she's with Real Broker, as we both are, talking about, how he was there to mentor and ready to go. So once his avatar walked away, I think I called her and I was like, hey, what was up with that dude, Aaron Agsalda? And she's like, oh, here's his number. And then I called him and I was like, hey, is this Aaron? And then I found out he goes by Kaleo afterwards. But yeah, we linked up, and he was like my secret weapon my first year of real estate. I was calling him all the time. I did 20, maybe 22, 23 million my first year. Sold a lot of homes, and I was able to hide the fact that I was pretty green to Hawaiian real estate due to the fact that I had Kaleo in my corner. He was the secret weapon, and I probably called him 10 times a day, either call or text. And
it's really kind. Got a $20 bill for you at the end of the podcast.
All good.
Yep. So I'm super happy you're here. We're going to take a look at some headlines. How you feeling about that?
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
So really interesting. This idea came to me in the middle of the night. I think the show that I'm trying to model this after is Pardon the Interruption, where we're going to have a timer for 60 seconds. We're going to read a headline. I'm going to pitch it to Lex, and he's going to talk about it for about 60 seconds. So I'm going to get our timer ready. And Chris, can you cue up the first article? That one's good. Here's the headline, Star Advertiser. Oahu home prices stay close to flat. This is from September 7th, 2023. Sales of previously owned homes on Oahu remained depressed in August, like many of us. While prices didn't change, that wasn't in the article. While prices didn't change much amid higher mortgage interest rates. If you know anything about finance and the economy in Hawaii right now, mortgage interest rates are at not an all-time high, but it's pretty high. So there's the headline, my brother. You have 60 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Cool. So, all right. Well, thank you. So, yeah, I think it's pretty clear what's going on out here with the fact that so values have stayed flat, sales have stayed flat, but in specific areas, prices are still going up. In some areas, they were affected by the interest rate. So interest rates are more than double where they were 2 years ago. So like in places where people are buying homes with very large loans, like the percentage of the loan, like the LTV, like say you're a VA buyer and you get a 100% VA loan, those areas, which is say like Eva, maybe out towards the west side, you were seeing a dip at first when rates started going up a lot. But then I think people are now just accepting that a 5, 6, 7% interest rate isn't even that high in terms if you look historically at interest rates. And people have realized like, shoot, prices keep going up, so we got to buy. And so inventory is super low, prices are super high, so it just makes sense that things are kind of staying stagnant overall.
What are home prices supposed to do? Are they supposed to be rising all the time? Are they supposed to be falling all the time? Are they supposed to stay flat? Right? So the fact that we're dealing with is home prices don't seem to be rising or falling right now. And they're calling out mortgage interest rates as the primary factor. I agree, 100%. As somebody who's owned a few homes, I am personally not in the business of buying a home right now. Right now. But if I had to, I probably would. But if I was going to, I would want to come in with as much cash as possible to deal with as little loan interest as possible. And I would make sure that I have verifiable income, that I have a steady job for the last 2 years, and that my job's not going anywhere in the next couple of years, because the plan would be to refinance as soon as rates come, maybe sub 5.5%. What I see right now is a really popular loan product where you're able to get a lower interest rate for the first year. And did my time run out? I'm just going to call it because
keep it flowing.
No,
you're good.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would opt for a loan program that allows me to take a 4.75% interest rate for the first year, and then contact my loan officer within a year and ask if they have better rates at that time.
Are you talking about a buy down or an ARM? What kind
Yeah, they're calling it a 2-1 or a 3-2-1 buy down.
Yeah, so I've actually done many 2-1 buy downs. I have actually pulled off a 3-2-1 buy down. I remember when I was telling my clients, hey, the only way they would qualify is if we got a 3-2-1. The lender was like, no way. The sellers are gonna do that buy down because the credit has to come from the seller, right? And basically what happens is the lender will calculate the difference in the mortgage payments at the lower rate versus what today's rate is, and then you get a credit from the seller to the buyer at closing, and you apply it towards the buy down. And yeah, I've done a 3-2-1, and yeah, they're stoked. So you're basically the first year you have you're 3 points lower than the current rate, then 2 points lower, then 1 point lower, 1 percentage point lower, and then it kicks back into whatever the rate is at the time.
Yeah, no, that's such good information. And one of the reasons I love that you brought that up is because the mission of this podcast is to be able to provide real estate education for as many people as possible. A lot of people do not even know that what you said is an option.
Yeah, a lot of people have learned about 2-1 buy downs. I mean, because they've had to, right? I'd say a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when rates, year and a half ago, a year ago when rates were really like kind of the higher rates were new to us, maybe a year ago actually, people had to learn what a 2-1 buy down is. It's just like how nowadays a lot of realtors actually know what a VA loan assumption is, like that you don't actually have to be military or VA eligible to assume a VA. I bet if you asked 98% of realtors that, 99% of realtors that 2 years ago, they'd be like, oh no, you have to be VA eligible to assume a VA loan. Now today, people have learned that you do not. You just has to be your primary residence. It cannot be an investment property. But someone who's not military can assume a VA, and that just kind of goes back to what you were saying with buy downs, where realtors have had to evolve and learn, and even buyers as a whole, on ways for us to get around these increased interest rates.
So good. Okay, so I think we're doing good on the content side, not good at all on the timing side. So
It's all good.
all right, Chris, can you bring up the next one? Can you read this one, Lex? Okay, so you're going to pitch this one to me, and then I'm going to get 60 seconds.
Yep. What buyers and sellers need to know about getting a home inspection in Hawaii. Hawaii, with its lush landscapes, volcanic terrains, mesmerizing beaches, offers a unique backdrop for the real estate market. Home inspection process here is just routine, yada, yada, basically saying, what do we need to know about home inspections, Kaleo?
Okay. So I have a lot of friends who are great home inspectors. I have seen some home inspectors who are not the best home inspectors, but that's just any industry, right? You would like to assume that every professional that you encounter is on the same level as the next professional that you encounter. But it's not true with doctors. There are some great doctors. There are some not so good doctors. There are some great realtors. There are some not so great realtors. There are some great home inspectors. There are some not great home inspectors. And the way that you might judge a home inspector as a consumer would be, I want them to tell me as much about the home as possible. Is there structural integrity with this building? Is there asbestos? Is there lead? What are the worst things about this home that are going to cause my family to feel unsafe or perhaps could harm my family? Now, what's really interesting is the things that home inspectors, the thing that consumers value from home inspectors might be a little different from the thing that realtors value in home inspectors. As realtors, we want to make sure that home inspectors are providing as much value to their clients as possible, but we also want to make sure that they don't start giving information that is potentially going to harm the transaction that is not relevant to the safety or the health of the family. I've had people bring up just, I want to pause there. I don't want to talk too much about home inspectors. But what I want to talk about is if you are concerned about the structural integrity of a home, then you actually can't talk to a home inspector. You have to talk to a structural engineer. If you want to talk about asbestos, or if you're concerned about asbestos, you need to hire a licensed asbestos contractor. There are certain home inspectors out there that are going to, gosh, my timer doesn't even tell me when I'm done.
I would just keep going and then just kick it to me.
Okay. What I'm looking for in a home inspector is, will they provide as much information to the home buyer that will help them make a reasonable decision about the property? But as a realtor, you do need to kind of step in there and make sure that the information is relevant to the sale and not just something that a home inspector might find interesting that might cause maybe undue concern to the buyer. And there's not really too much that I can say about that on camera. But Lex, what do you think?
Well, in Hawaii in particular, the home inspection period of a contract is known as the J1 period, and that's definitely the most important period when you kick off an escrow. Here in Hawaii, it's extremely buyer friendly. We don't have to have some specific thing wrong with the house in order to qualify to get out of a contract and get your earnest money. You literally can cancel for any reason during the J1 period, and you just cite J1. It's like pleading the fifth or something in court. You just say J1. Now, the J1 period is super important. You've got to get a good inspector like Kaleo says. I use Kenji Vendetta with Pillar to Post. Kaleo hooked me up with him. Kenji's the man. You want somebody that can go in there and that can say there's something wrong with say there's just like something like a leak. You get a lot of inspectors that won't even like give an idea of what it's going to cost to fix, and maybe they're not supposed to, but I'll tell you, as someone who represents a lot of buyers want to know right there on the spot, like, hey, is this going to be $1,500? Is this going to be $5,000? Is this going to be $10,000? So, I want an inspector who can kind of handle all that and who can kind of relay the message in layman's terms to the clients. So yeah, inspection's super important. I actually bought a house. The only time I let a client convince me not to do an inspection, I now own that house. And I literally am doing a renovation on it right now, and I just got a text from the guy who's doing the building out the owner's unit, and he just told me they found like 20 dead rats in the walls. And I've owned it for 1.5 years now. So that tells you, get an inspection.
Okay. Great. There you go. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. How to challenge a low home appraisal. Okay, I'm going to read it. All right. A lot rides on home appraisals, whether you're trying to sell a house, refinance your mortgage, or tap into your home equity. A low appraisal could jeopardize a buyer's financing and sink the deal to sell your home, or it could crimp your ability to refinance your mortgage or access cash through a cash-out refinance, home equity loan, or home equity line of credit. Lex, have you dealt with low appraisals, and how did you deal with them? I'm going to start the clock. 60 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah. So low appraisal, also known as a tidewater, that is, yeah, I've dealt with them many times. And the way you got to deal with it is if you haven't, so sometimes you'll deal with inspectors that, I don't want to say it, but some are not objective. There's some people that are subjective and they don't feel specific areas should be a specific value, and they're not keeping up with the trend. And I think we saw that a lot in 2021 when the market was really like going into like just jet fuel mode and just skyrocketing. Now the inspectors have evolved, but if you do have a low appraisal, what you need to do is you've got to put together your comps, you got to put together your case, and you got to present it to that inspector, the appraiser. But it's got to be done in a very like hands-off, non-aggressive method. You just have to present the data, and you just got to sit back and hope and make your case and sit back and hope for a best case scenario. Worst case, I think you can always ask for a new appraisal, but it just depends. Every situation's different. But yeah, the only thing you can do is go collect data.
Cool. Great. Let's keep it rolling. I think Lex is doing way better than I am, so I'm just going to keep it going for you. All right?
You're doing good, bro.
Yeah. Next one. All right. Buying is just the beginning. What does it really cost to own a home? A new study adds it up all over the typical length of homeownership. Did I read that right? The result, utilities will cost more than your down payment. I don't know if I really like this one. What's the next one?
Where's the high money one? Where's that damn one we were first talking about? The first one. About the sales being up for 3 million plus properties. It was like the first one, remember?
Did we do?
We didn't.
I think we did it already.
No, we didn't. We practiced on it and it got skipped.
Let's try it.
It would have been like the first one. It's like, it's got a picture of a really baller house in Kahuku on it.
Let's see.
You got it?
This one.
Yeah.
Okay, let me start it again.
Are you teeing it up or am I reading this?
I'm teeing it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all you, bro.
Okay.
Like his shit's fire, dude. Okay. Oh, cancel. All right. Sales of pricey Oahu homes trend up. While the number of homes sold in most categories of Oahu real estate were flat or down in August, the sales numbers went up for single-family homes priced at $3 million or more and condos starting at $1.5 million. Lex, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm seeing it every day. I think it's clear, in like my little micro ecosystem of my database of 8,000 buyers, I have more people looking for high-end homes than I've ever done before. I just closed a couple weeks ago on a house for $6.3 million in Diamond Head. It was listed for $7.25. So I think buyers with cash see that there's some deals out there, but also at the same time, people are also looking for places to park cash. The stock market in the past year's up 10% or so. I mean, it was down in the 20s. Now it's around 34 or something. So, the fall, typically the stock market trends downward. So maybe people are looking for a good place to park cash. I mean, it's like Mark Twain said, buy land. They're not making any more of it. So where better place to park money than in Hawaiian real estate? We can't build out. We're not like Phoenix where there's desert where you can build out. There's areas of this island. If we're talking super pricey homes, most likely, there's some really baller ones up like Hawaii Lower Ridge, Wailaiki, all that stuff. But if we're talking oceanfront, there's specific areas like that are like Diamond Head, Kahala, Lanakai, Kailua, North Shore even. But you're not seeing a lot of people listing the really good ones. And then when they do pop up, you're seeing them move pretty quick. And if it's in an area where there's a high erosion risk, they're not really moving because people with that kind of money are pretty smart because they're looking at long-term play. But yeah, I don't think there's a better place to park money if, say, you've got 20, 30, 40, 50 million bucks plus than in an oceanfront house in Hawaii, especially if it's in a proper flood zone setting.
Yeah, great. Thanks, man. Okay, let's take a break from headlines. And how does this usually do? People take breaks in podcasts? Not really. They have a word from their sponsor. Yeah. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Hawaii Institute of Real Estate. Our aim is real estate literacy for all. We do this through a variety of channels. Through our pre-licensing courses, the Hawaii Institute of Real Estate is a certified pre-license education provider offering salesperson and broker courses, online and in person, to help you prepare for the Hawaii real estate exam for licensure.
Yeah, and let me give a quick little plug for Hire Real Estate because Kaleo was my mentor. I used to always tell him that if he wasn't a broker in real estate, the dude would be a lawyer or a teacher. And now here he is. He's got this fire real estate school. I actually signed up for the broker class, and everything he's put together is just so top notch. And I don't think there's a better person you could learn from because he's got a very modern look on real estate, but he explains it, and he explains everything just very detailed, but in a way where a newer agent can really grasp it.
Thanks. And we like to one more time. Maybe we should just keep all the blunders on this first one.
Yeah, just go. Let's go.
One of the ways that we like to end every podcast is we like to ponder a few points. We call it points to ponder. Insert graphic and music here. And I like to hear what my friends are reading and what they're kind of thinking through. Not real estate related, just things about life. I think you had some quotes that you were kind of spitting out a little earlier.
Oh, well, I mean, we said the Mark Twain quote because we all love Mark Twain, Huckleberry Finn, or Adventures of Tom Sawyer, whatever it's called, or it's one or the other. But outside of that, I mean, shoot, honestly, I really haven't been reading as much as I would like to. I do love to read. I went through a phase where I was reading like nonstop. I was a voracious reader, but I got a 1 and a 3-year-old, and then work super busy. So like I basically do real estate all day. I try to slip in a workout, and then I'm basically home. And if I could like surf, then that would be an extra bonus too. And that kind of makes it, this electric skateboard comes into play. It's like this really epic little slide-in thing.
I got one for you. So there's this book written by Gary Keller. He started Keller Williams, killer realtor, killer teacher, and a pretty good author. But he says, what is one thing, as somebody is trying to organize their day, organize their life, think through their goals for a certain amount of time? He says, what you want to think through first is, what is the one thing such that by doing it will make everything else either easier or irrelevant? And I know for me, that's been kind of a guiding principle in trying to make a roadmap for success for the day. That's something I pulled from Anthony Vicino, where he talks about making a back of the napkin roadmap for success. As I'll look at my day and the things that are going on for the day, I'd kind of list them out chronologically and draw pictures to help me envision what winning the day actually looks like. That way we can rack up little wins, and those little wins are going to lead to the big wins. But have you seen yourself kind of prioritize your life in a similar way or a completely different way? How do you get things done?
I operate kind of differently. I'm like full throttle pretty much from the moment I open my eyes. My thing is I just like to make sure I get some type of physical activity in at the start of the day. And I've had an injury lately, so I haven't been able to really do a whole lot like at the gym, but I've been doing the cold plunge every day, and it really clears my head. I get
Every
up
day?
almost every day.
Wow.
Yeah, I go get in the cold plunge. I'm there at 6 a.m. I'm usually the first or second person in the water because you want it because people's body temperature will heat it up throughout the day. So I want to get it when it's super cold. So I do about 4 or 5 minutes in the cold plunge. Then I'll hit a hot sauna for about 15 till I'm drenched in sweat. Then I'll hit the cold plunge for like another 2 or 3. And then I'm just like ready to just go crush things. Typically go home, got to help get the kids ready and stuff. But that is like the ultimate zip. I wouldn't even want a coffee before that. You just hit that, wait a couple hours, and yeah. But then when I get to my office, I always sit down and I try to like make a list on a whiteboard or just on a piece of paper. What do I need to get done today? The problem is so many things evolve throughout the day. So many tasks constantly pop up that it's almost an impossible thing for me to know exactly what I'm going to do every day. I am trying to get better with things like time blocking. I think time blocking is a very powerful thing. Like taking, say 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every day, you're doing lead prospecting. You're doing something that's going to involve helping to generate more business down the road. And that's something I'm really trying to do. But then things like this podcast pop up at 9 a.m. So because I was at my desk at 8, and then Kaleo calls, and I was like, oh, I got to go switch my skateboard for my car. And now I'm here. So it's I think that the top people, for sure, they've got it really systemized, where either time blocking or the night before. I remember I read Bill Gates every night before the next day. He likes to write down what do I need to do the next day. And I do that sometimes.
I like that.
And I like to make sure before I go to sleep in the evenings that anything that had to get done that day, I like last night I was up till like 10:30 just in my office at home, just doing all these little menial tasks just so that I could actually slow my brain down and then go to sleep. So I don't know if that was helpful at all. I gave like 20 different answers. But
No, definitely. Thanks so much. In 1 minute, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a brand new real estate agent?
Be prepared to work your ass off. It's nothing like you see on the TV shows, the shows where it's like, oh, you're making calls, you're looking all sharp, dude. Like I'm working 60 plus hour weeks for sure. If you want it bad, you really have to put the hours in. There's no easy button. Even if you go and buy leads from, say, Zillow or something, those leads is just a person's info, and you got to get that person, make them trust you. You got to put in the work because they're probably talking to other realtors too. And there's no easy button. Straight up, you have to just work your ass off and surround yourself with good people. Like me at the start in Hawaii, I had Kaleo there with me. Kaleo, Jeremy Chang, Leon Ching Kwango. There were some other really, really good people I was around that really helped to make it so I knew I wanted to do this, but it just made the whole experience better. So get yourself around people you want to work with. Get yourself at a brokerage that's going to help you grow and offers educational stuff, not just like promises of like, oh, we're the biggest, this and that. You want to be with people you want to work with. And that would kind of be my take. And you should be doing everything you can possibly do, from open houses to, I'm not from Hawaii, so I'm not like calling aunties and uncles or sending letters out to high schools like you would see with like the ninja selling tactics and whatnot. But there's so many avenues that you could get leads and get business that I'm not going to list them all here, but yeah, just prepare to work your ass off for sure. And you've got to really be willing to put in the time.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, Lex. This is the High Realty Podcast, broadcasting from Aloha for Now Studios. Our aim at Aloha for Now Studios is to give voice to Hawaii small business. If you are a small business owner and you want to brand and market your business, if you would like some entrepreneurial suggestions or would like a third opinion on how you can improve your reach in the media, let us know. Aloha for Now Studios. And actually, we should go to CNEA Media at this point in time, right? Lex, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I got to add one more thing to the new realtor thought.
Yeah.
It just came to me. Get yourself a badass loan officer to work with. When you're a new realtor, you can get so much your greenness can get covered if you can just bounce them to a really good LO. Because you're going to be getting hit with a lot of financing questions, this and that. And if you're new, you're not going to know. Like, that's for sure. So you got to get yourself a good lender who's going to have your back.
That's awesome. Thanks for that. Right on. Special thank you to Christian Cienia of Cienia Media. Special thank you to our administrator, Jacqueline Williams, helping us out with the scheduling. We've got a great team, and we're looking forward to hearing more from you. Aloha.